Like, songs can be very educational and informative, and that's another reason why I like to write, because I'm like, you know what, I can express my true emotions through song, and these people might receive it better because I'm not talking at them or dictating to them what they need to do, but yet I'm singing it in a way they like the melody, but yet they get the message. Music is powerful, writing is powerful, and I take it very seriously because I know the power that it had over me. What's up, beautiful people? Thank you for tuning into another episode of The Write Hustle. And this episode is called My Top 5 Songwriting Tips. Your girl's going pink today, guys. 2023 is a year for colorful everything, me included, okay? All right, so we're going to get right into this because I think it's important to share. As I'm sharing my songs with you, I want to also give you guys an insight as to how I write and what I think are my assets in the way that I write, and how maybe you can spot them when you hear my writings, when you hear my songs. All right, so number one, if you can write outside of your box, meaning what you are more comfortable doing, what you're used to doing, like if I'm great at writing to rock, if I can write in a country style, you can even do so in a sense where you take that rock song or those lyrics and now somehow transform them into a country style, or use one of those kind of country sounding guitar heavy, acoustic guitar heavy songs or tracks, and put your rock style lyrics over top of it. See how you can actually transform it and see if there's really any big difference at all. Get outside of your comfort zone is what I'm saying. As a writer, sometimes you'll be asked to write on projects that you are not necessarily familiar with or comfortable with, and you won't really know unless you try it out. So why wait until you're asked to try it out? Try it out sometimes because you have the opportunity just to see. And it might be different. You may not necessarily be a singer or somebody who wants to perform the material, but the more you get to kind of like go outside of your comfort zone, you'll know what you can do versus what you can't do and where you want to kind of stay. So number one is to push yourself often outside of the box that you have kind of always lived in. You may be great and very successful in this one field, and I'm not saying that you have the same amount of talent or same amount of interest in this other one, but it just helps you become a more well-rounded writer overall when you're not just so dominant in this one area and you know nothing about anything else, or what you may find out that you really like writing in this other genre, or that you're really better at doing that than where you always kind of stayed, right? So this is more so for you to know what's out there and what your full potential is. Number two is find the sweet spot, the place between too easy and too hard. Sometimes words and melodies just come to you so fast and natural. Like me, sometimes a song I feel like sometimes will be writing itself. And I'll say it, but it just seems like this is the right thing to say after this, or this seems so natural, or this comes without even thinking about it. But when I find myself done faster than I think I should be done, which might seem weird to some people, but when I find myself like, damn, yeah, that's it, I often push myself to go back and say, can that be better? Can I rhyme something better with that'll make people think even more? Can I say the same thing in a much more clever way, just by giving it more time and attention and not just like trying to rush it to get done because it came so fast? Like sometimes you have to sometimes see what your full potential is by spending a little bit more time or going over something that you might have been able to get done in 20 minutes, but now giving it a whole hour and saying, dag, can I think of something different? Can I think of something better? If not, if what you have already created and compared to what you created by giving yourself more time is better, then okay, it's better. I'm not saying at all that you need to make something more complicated than it needs to be. Because sometimes when it comes to you like that, it's because that was the best thing for it. It just kind of finished itself because the track kind of led into that direction, or the mood was right, or you had the inspiration and it was just all flowing, whatever. So I'm not saying that you have to spend a certain amount of time for it to be the best it's going to be. I'm saying if you can, put some more time and attention on it. Put some more time and attention on it. Just to make sure that what you have is the absolute best that you got. All right. Number 3. Don't be afraid to make changes when you really feel it. Okay. Later. Now, this is different from number 2 because in this instance, sometimes the song is done. You're now in the recording stages. Maybe you've already recorded the song and you're listening to it. This happens to me. And no, you don't always like to have to go back and re-record something again, but you know damn well that whatever you're thinking about in your head now, or whatever you came up with after you played the song 1,000,001 times, is better than what you have. If you don't want to go back in to re-record it because you just don't feel like doing it, but you know you have something that's 10 times better than what you have, you need to kind of get out of that habit. Because I feel like a lot of us we're content with, okay, look, it's good enough, when it can be great. And I think that's the difference between a songwriter and a great songwriter. Somebody who's not afraid to make the song to give the audience the best that they got, even if that means that they have to go back in, and if they don't have their own recording studio set up, they got to go back in and pay somebody to come re-record them, or or go back into booking another studio. I get all that. That's why I say, piggybacking off of number 2 again, that's why I say give yourself more time to think about if something could be better. But if you've done that and then you've lived with it for a week or 2 or whatever, and you listen to the song, you're like, damn, I could have said this and I could have said this. And sometimes, guess what? It ain't necessary. But when you're when you're a songwriter and you want to be good and you want to give it the best and you want to hear the best, it's eating away at you, it's nagging at you when you know you can make something great, but you're just comfortable with just hearing it as good, because you're going to always think about it in your back of your mind that could be better. And that will be worse than you having to take the time or spend that little extra money to go back into the studio and doing that, making those changes. Okay? So again, don't be afraid to make the changes necessary when you know damn well that is the best that you could do, and it'll just take you a little bit of time to go back and make those tweaks. All right? Number 4, swing between writing collaborations and solo projects. Some people only like to work with collaborations and work with other people. They don't really want to write by themselves because, well, whatever. There's tons of reasons why some people don't want to write by themselves. I say swing between the two because it's good to be in touch with you, what you bring to the table, what your style is, what you like. Because if you're always writing with other people, you don't know what's you or what's them. You don't know what. It's hard to decide, because when you're writing with other people, they'll say something that'll give birth to something that you said. There's a constant back and forth. There's a constant feeding off of. And if you get so familiar and used to that, but you get a project or something happens to that relationship where they're not available, or there's a falling out or whatever, now you feel like you can't do it. Now you feel like you need somebody else to bring out greatness in you. Now you feel like you are dependent on somebody else giving you the fuel to be great, or to have creativity, or to to create the best thing that you could create. So get used to being alone and doing some solo projects so that you know what you maybe need to work on, or where your strengths are versus your weaknesses, and join the crew so that you know what you bring to the table. All right, it's just always good to know where you stand versus where we stand, because the collection of songwriters will always change. The dynamic will always change. You might have a writing group that just does this particular style and works with this particular artist, and you might have a writing group that only does this, or only collabs, or maybe they're just good with great ideas but don't really come together to create songs or whatever. Make sure you find and you carve out spaces where you have your own solo writing projects. And make sure you make time whenever you can, once or twice a month or whatever, to get with other writing creatives, okay? It just helps you become more of a well-rounded artist. All of this helps you in the long run. And number 5, get a dictionary. All right, make sure you keep a dictionary. Make sure I used to do a thing where I had to learn 5 new words a week. 5 new words. and I would have by the end of it, by the time where I wound up like stopping, I had like a binder of words that I could just like flip through whenever I wanted to learn, whenever I wanted to bring something new into my writing. You know, when I wanted to say something, but would be more clever if I said it, if I used this word, because I wanted to have the listener thinking, you know. I remember when I heard, I was listening to Mariah Carey. I was a big Mariah Carey fan, and she's the artist that made me pick up a dictionary and actually look up words that she was saying. I loved it because, first of all, she made everything sound very pretty and mellifluous, but unbridled in her song. I think it was Butterfly. Wild horses run unbridled, oh, the spirit dies. I didn't know what unbridled meant. I had no clue, but I was so intrigued by the lyrics. And I was so intrigued by the melody. I love the song. I'm singing it and I'm like, you know what? I want to know what I'm singing. I want to understand what she's saying. And that was when I actually went and learned what unbridled meant. And that's why I was like, I knew the power of a songwriter and a singer to teach me something that I don't know. I think for a long time I was afraid, because so many people give you the idea that you have to dumb shit down, that you have to be like, oh, you know, spoon feed it to them. They don't want to think. They don't want to listen. They just want some teeny bopper 1, 2, 3. But I knew that's not how I was. I happen to also be a writer. But when I was listening to Mariah Carey, I wasn't writing books. You know, I was into singing and learning and wanted to hear great music. But I remember it did not make me it didn't make me not want to listen to her. It didn't make me not want to listen to the music because she said things that I didn't understand. It actually made me want to go and learn. What does that mean? And I remember Beyonce's song, I think it was Ape Shit, where she said, pay me in equity. She said something about being paid in equity and reversing out of debt. Now, at this time when that song came up, I'm grown, and of the age where I understood what equity meant and the importance of it, and why. Now, I was like, okay, cool. So then I went back and I looked up what that term was and how you could reverse out of debt. Like, it was just intriguing to me how so many people have it wrong. Like, you're not going to attract if somebody doesn't like your music, they're not gonna not like, if they don't want to like you, they're not going to like you. But if they do like you, they're not going to stop listening to you because you said something that they didn't understand. If anything, they're going to be happy that you're challenging them, and they want to be able to sing along and understand what they're singing. So it's going to encourage them to actually read about it or learn about it. That's a part of it too. Like, songs can be very educational and informative, and that's another reason why I like to write, because I'm like, you know what, I can express my true emotions through song. And these people might receive it better because I'm not talking at them or dictating to them what they need to do. But yet, I'm singing it in a way they like the melody, but yet they get the message. Music is powerful. Writing is powerful. And I take it very seriously because I know the power that it had over me, right? Those are my top 5 tips. You know, getting yourself a dictionary, increasing your vocabulary, learning how to say what you want to say, but in a way where you're educating people, because we don't usually say those words on a regular basis. I think it's amazing. Every time I listen to somebody talk, whether it's whatever I like, whether it's, you know, it's tarot readings or whatever, like, because I like to look up tarot readings online. If it's the tarot interpretations, whenever they say words I'm not familiar with using, I'm like, I'm looking it up in a second, because I want to be able to use it in a book or in a sentence or in a conversation that I'm saying with somebody and educate them if they say, damn, what that word mean? Or maybe they don't ask me, but they store it and then they go home and they listen and now they're saying it, because it just makes them, it just increases their vocabulary, increases their information. And now we're communicating, and now that word is now a part of our everyday conversation. Those are my top 5 songwriting tips. You guys can feel free to leave me some comments about what your tips are, or any of these that you might have found more helpful, or anything that you might say, you know what, maybe not. My top 5 will be this. I don't agree with this, whatever. Feel free to leave comments, to like, to subscribe if this is on channels that you can subscribe to. But thank you guys for tuning into another the Write Hustle episode, and make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to start making these episodes, I believe, weekly. Okay, just like my boss bitch tips and my musicians on gigs, I'm gonna start making this one weekly because, again, I want to create a community in which we are talking and discussing for the writers out there, for people out there who actually create content. Okay, thanks again, guys. Hope you like my pink hair. If you don't, well, sorry for you, because you're gonna keep seeing a lot of colors on this head. Take care. Have a safe rest of the week, and I'll see you guys later on. Bye.